Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode. I really want to talk about intuition today, intuitive nudges with all the uncertainty in the world. And at times it feels very, very heavy. I'm going to encourage you to take the time and the space to ground your energy and to give yourself the gift of being present and really tuning into those intuition energies. We are receiving nudges, we are receiving signs and symbols, and it's up to us to figure them out. Now, having said that, I want to say not everything is a sign or a symbol because we're also dealing with situations where we might have to be a little feisty. We might have to follow up and make sure things get done that are supposed to get done. And we have to be aware of that because we could say, oh, well, this is really hard or that didn't work out, so maybe it's not supposed to happen. Now, in the past, with the energies the way they were and the patterns and the universe, that may have been true. I don't think that is so much anymore. I think we need to really know ourselves. And is this something I want to fight for or something I want to pursue, something I want to take a stand on, and know yourself. Because sometimes the answer to that is yes. Actually, right now, I'm finding it more often it's a yes than it is not a yes. It's interesting. A lot of it is the uncertainty. A lot of it is everybody is struggling with some pretty heavy stuff. And so being able to know yourself, know your guidance system, tap into the intuitive energies that you have and you have access to. I do realize that when you're feeling overwhelmed and just the chaos is too much, it is a challenge to invoke your intuition. I get that. And so you need your tools, right? Ground yourself. Oracle cards, love, 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 just to get that instant message to help you sort through because we want to be able to trust ourselves. And with, cultivating our intuition, we also need to know what nourishes our soul, what fills your cup, because that's all a part of taking care of your intuitive self. Because when we stay grounded and nourished, we are clearer on our intuition. Now, I say this all the time, and I'm going to remind you again, the universe is not against you. We are in interesting times, and our resilience, our strength, our inner knowing is all part of getting us through this. And it's not just getting us through this, it is thriving while in this. And it's not, again, not always lollipops, sunshine, and rainbows. But there are days that are lollipops, sunshine, and rainbows. What nourishes your soul? Do you need to be creating some more connections with the people you love, taking the time to do that? I know life is busy and we are often simply in survival mode. And with that, we can feel a certain type of way when we are having fun, when we do take a break from worrying about everything. But those breaks and that fun are part of nourishing your soul to deal with the rest of it. And so, what are some of your intuitive nudges? Notice what you notice, feel what you feel, see what you see, hear what you hear, know what you know. You know, I always say that. So I was thinking, like, what are some of my intuitive nudges lately? And so I reached out to somebody because we do collaborate. and I wanted to check in because I received the nudge to do so. And we do have a collaboration coming up that we haven't been able to schedule because of the situations going on. And I didn't realize, well, because I hadn't talked to them. So how could I realize? Anyway, so I found out that they're dealing with some stuff and things are not quite in place for us to do our project we want to do together. And so I just reached out to check in and I had a different question and was gonna, we were messaging and I was gonna ask it and I felt no, ask about their summer plans instead. I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so I did. And I'm like, holy hay crops. We ended up having a phone call so that I could be support because what they're dealing with, again, holy hay crops. And here's the thing, you don't know what other people are dealing with. And we did make a joke and laugh because my friend has been a little cranky. And so I randomly send her listen bitch cards because it's funny. And so I'm going to continue to do that. And, finding out what she was dealing with and how it was going for her. It's some pretty heavy stuff. And, you don't know till you know. So maybe if you're feeling that nudge to check in on somebody, have the conversations. Now, I prefer phone calls to text messages, but I also understand people are busy, so I do text first just to check in if they're available for me to talk to them. But I love the connection of a phone call. And then to my delight, I actually got to see her a few days later, unexpectedly, because I didn't know she was going to be at a place that I was. So that was pretty fun. And I got to send her juju, even if I'm sure she knew. But yeah, I'm going to say, because one of the things about developing our intuition is we get stuck in self-doubt, which is the energy clearing I have planned for this week. So please go sign up for it. Self-doubt is rough, right? And we can get caught up in that because we don't always have all the information, but we feel what we feel and we assign meaning to it. And sometimes what we're assigning meaning to it, which is from our own lived experience, so it makes total sense, may not be quite right. And my friend going through this, she didn't need me bothering her all the time because she was dealing with some stuff, and that's okay. When we're dealing with some heavy stuff, sometimes we just want to deal with it and have our very close, tight inner circle. And I'm not in her inner circle, and that's also okay. But I did want her to know that I'm here if she needs me. And if she needs a listen bitch card sent, that's perfectly fine. And I am going to actually make a point of going in person and seeing her before more chaos happens. But it was interesting to me. And when I got the nudge to just check and say that, I could have easily ignored it and said, well, no, I need to ask this other question and get that all straight. It's all about me. Right? We get caught up in our own stuff and forget that other people are dealing with stuff too, because sometimes it feels isolating. But I guarantee you, you are not alone in feeling what you feel. I have this amazing group that I facilitate, and we do 2 sessions in June, and then we break for the summer because the venue we have gets pretty busy and it doesn't work for what we do. And I would encourage everyone to find that kind of space if they can. If you want to know more about it, or maybe know more about how to create what I did, I would be happy to tell you about it. And one of my goals with our group, well, for 2025, we're being kinder to ourselves, but it's also awareness to cultivate our intuition. Because I believe in intuition and I believe we can develop it. And I believe that it helps us every single day. And so, as I was thinking about the podcast and I was doing my morning chores, delighting in my cows, and then I couldn't find my bulls. And so I grounded my energy immediately, and then I kind of sent my intuition out, like where would they be? Do I have to worry? Because I often get those energies of, oh, cows are behaving badly. You need to go out right now. The horses will tell me, the cows will tell me. Because it was unusual for my bulls not to be where I could see them because the cows were all up. They are there now, looking longingly, wanting to go do their jobs, but it's not quite time. But I had to go walk through the pasture and find them. They were in a different spot, and it was good. It was really good. But I had also grounded my energy and took those just few moments of space to feel what I feel. Do that. And at the same time, I also know for myself personally, I need to not have too much space where I'm feeling what I'm feeling, because then I can overthink and overworry. Sound familiar? Which is the opposite of being intuitive. But it's part of the deal. Part of the deal. And figuring out what is overthinking and overworry that's not necessary versus intuition is the journey of our life. And it's all experiential. One of the reasons I love the oracle cards, it gives us a visual and then we read it. And if you're auditory, read it out loud to yourself. And it gives you a bit of guided direction. And sometimes it's for you, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's only one sentence that's the message for you, but it's exactly what you need. I think we do have a habit sometimes of expecting it to be more than what it actually is. It's actually simpler than what we expect it to be, I guess, or maybe are conditioned to think it should be. I'm not sure exactly how to put that energy into words, but so slow down sometimes, ground your energy. If you have a question or a concern, grab an oracle card. Yeah, I'm feeling lots of nudges to do a bunch of things, and I have to figure out how it can work for me because feeling the nudges, but then the last 2 weeks have been so busy with all sorts of stuff. I didn't even get a podcast done last week. I recorded part of it and then I just did not get time to the rest because things needed my attention. And my perspective on that is it's okay. Being kind to myself for not getting every single thing done that was on my list and doing it this week instead. It's all good. The energies support doing it right now. They didn't last week. And that's okay because we are living life. We are figuring it out every day. Some of my books that I love to figure out your intuitive nudges, Stephen Farmer's Animal Spirit Guides, love, love, love. Denise Lynn and her book, The Secret Language of Signs, I believe it is, love, love, love. It helps me when I'm feeling cluttery and trying to figure it out. And sometimes I have to caution myself to not immediately think it's something negative. Sometimes our intuition is just to say, hey, go outside and enjoy that your favorite big old steer, Eddie, came up for a drink and you get to give him a treat. This was so fun. This was yesterday. So I go out to do my horse chores and I was nudged to go a little bit later than I normally do. And I'm like, okay, I got busy because it was a nudge, but it wasn't totally that much of my awareness. So when I did go out, I'm doing my horsey chores and Eddie comes up and he's by himself. I'm like, that's interesting. And he comes up for a drink and the ravens were worked up and not happy with my dog. And I'm like, kind of a lot going on out here this morning. And so I did my horse chores and then I let my horses out and it was still just Eddie. I'm like, oh, that's nice. It's just you by yourself. I think I can give you a treat because I can't do it if there's a bunch of them because and it gets chaotic and they all want to eat and they push each other around and it's just not cool. I'm not okay with that. So I go to the other corral and I open the shed door to get Eddie his treat, some pellets, which they love. And I was just pouring them and scraping them because we're at the bottom because it's the end of the season. And I feel this energy and I turn around and there's Eddie. And he's a big, like he's probably 2,000 pounds. He's a big steer. He's right in the door, like trying to come in. And I'm like, buddy, it was so cute. And so I have to shove him out of the way because he's just the best. Give him some good boy scratches and then give him his treats. And he was frolicking. Yeah, watching a 2,000 pound steer frolic is hilarious. I realize I should get a camera that fits on my ball cap to get videos of a lot of the stuff that happens. I can't use my phone because I'm usually busy doing it, but I should because it is hilarious. And it is so much fun. And so then this morning when I went out, I was actually surprised that Eddie wasn't meeting me. Maybe I went too early. That could be it. Celebrate those things when fun things happen. Because again, it's so easy to get caught up in all the negative stuff. Celebrate the positive stuff. That does help with our intuition. Follow those nudges. Feel what you feel. Enjoy what you enjoy. Ask yourself, what nourishes your soul? Because that will help you with your intuition. What makes you happy? The guided journey, the guided imagery we're going to do today is for our third eye. And it's just to give it some energy, give it a little boost so that we can tune into it and use it when we need to. Yeah, that's what we're doing today because being able to access it and knowing the difference, right? Being able to trust. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then, yeah, we'll chat after our meditation. Coming to settle and be at ease. Let's take 3 big deep breaths. 3 big deep breaths. And on one of those breaths, allowing your eyes to close in their own timing. Begin to imagine a wave of comfort starting at the tips of toes and moving all the way up to the top of your head and back down again to the tips of your toes. This wave of comfort continues, starting at the tips of your toes and moving all the way up to the top of your head and back down again to the tips of your toes. This wave of comfort is relaxing, feels secure. I invite you now breathe in, and this wave of comfort again moves from the tips of toes all the way up to the top of your head. And on your exhale, it moves all the way back down again to the tips of your toes. Allowing this wave of comfort to do its magic, to do its thing. Just continue breathing and being. If you're feeling a little extra stressy, breathe in, allowing the wave of comfort, and then breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Each time the comfort moves up your body and back down again. The vibration from this wave becomes stronger and stronger, sending deeper and deeper relaxation energies and comfort. Just breathing and being, letting this wave do its thing. Nice. Breathing and being as you give yourself the gift of this time and space. And one more time, breathing in from the tips of toes all the way up to the top of your head and back down again on the exhale. Moving even deeper and deeper into relaxation, letting all the cares and worries go just for now. Breathing and being. I'm going to give you a few more moments to allow this wave of comfort to cycle around, and you're going to feel completely at ease. Nice. And now, as this wave of comfort continues to work positively, comfortably, even when I count backwards now from 5 to 0. In just a moment. And when I do, there's a becoming even more relaxed at 0. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Deeply, deeply, deeply relaxed. Deeply relaxed. When the door of the imagination opens, and there remains comfort and calm all around, it is sometimes easier to experience the sense of the third eye. All of the senses come into a higher frequency, and the knowing within lifts up. It is the knowing within, sometimes called a voice to hear, sometimes an eye to see, sometimes a feeling, a knowing, but always about knowing something more, something beyond, something within that is bringing forth information as to what is just the right way to go, to understand, and what to become aware of. Feel what you feel, see what you see, hear what you hear, and know what you know. Trust yourself. Ancient tales have talked about it. Much throughout time has been written about it, and each mortal being seems to have it, whether they are aware of it or not. To foster it is to pay attention to it, to listen, to know when intuition is talking is not always clear. Yet the directive is to keep listening, keep attending to it. It is experiential. Each And every time there is a following of it, appreciate it. Just simply appreciate that it gave the direction that seemed right and was followed. So then it is in the trusting of it, how to trust it, and know to follow it, when to open the deepest door, when to become so quiet that the only thing that could be heard or seen or known is that which dwells in the third eye. The knowing within wants attention, wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to be felt, wants to be known. And when it gets that, it becomes even more forthcoming. And then it can be trusted again and again, and for always and forever. In the third eye, the knowing within, dwelling there for just a little while, listening and coming to hear, coming to knowing what's important to hear, see, and know. Feel this energy, let this energy into every cell of your being so that you will be able to know what you know, hear what you hear, see what you see, and feel what you feel with awareness and understanding. I'm going to give you a minute or two to soak in this energy. Nice. More and more, as this becomes more practiced, strengthening takes place, and the full trusting occurs for the intuition to grow and develop in a positive way. Feel what you feel, see what you see, know what you know, hear what you hear. There's no way to do it wrong. You just have to figure out your guidance system. And so, feeling this experience in the fulfillment, in all its totality and unity, we're going to come up and out now, reinforcing the third eye energy and your knowing within at 0 and at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eyes open, wide awake. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. eyes open, wide awake. How was that? Did it feel good to be in connection with your third eye energies? Use it or lose it, I guess. You won't actually lose it, but it does take practice and being experiential to figure it all out. Our intuitive self and to trust, right? It is a big deal trusting it. And like, I'm also going to say this, don't overthink it and don't be hard on yourself. Cultivating our intuition is easier than we think it is and less complicated than we usually make it because we tend to be hard on ourselves. And it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to misinterpret. Take it as learning. And remember, every time we do that, we create new neurons in our brain and we are actually making our brain better. So it's okay to be wrong because I guarantee you, you won't be wrong next time you get that same message. It's a system, it's a guidance system that you're figuring out for yourself. I love oracle cards. I like doing walking meditations. I like movement. If I do a meditation, I want to do some movement after just to get the energy circulating because sometimes doing a meditation can bring up stuff I have to deal with, thoughts, feelings, awarenesses, and not all of them are comfortable, which is sometimes the point. And so I like movement. I like to go stomp in the pasture. Laughter yoga dancing is my absolute favorite. Or if I'm not laughter yoga dancing, because I've already done it that day, I will put on some nice 80s music and dance around my house. I do believe that having that movement helps release any stuck energies, plus my energy clearings. That program is amazing and it works. Okay, so I'm going to wish you all good juju to be clear on your intuition, to have clear intuitive hits that you can understand and follow. Perhaps some soul nudges that you follow and it makes sense to you. We can do this. And even with all the heavy energy some days, yesterday was really bad. Today is a lot better. But even with all the heavy energies and the uncertainties and, all the worries, we can still tune into our intuitive self, feel those nudges. Maybe they're nudges in your body. Maybe you feel them in your chakra system. Maybe you feel them from, just sometimes I get a physical push if I'm not listening. Perhaps it's a thought, perhaps it's an overheard conversation, perhaps it's somebody else saying something and you're like, oh, okay, that matches. I feel good about that. Pay attention. Pay attention to your life, but don't let it overwhelm and mess with you. It it is a balancing act, a juggling act, so to speak, because we want to cultivate our intuition, but we don't want to overthink. Sometimes it's easier than other times, depending on what's going on in our lives. So let's invoke some positive experiences, though, some positive situations where we follow our nudges and it works out well to give us that confidence and clarity. All right. Well, thank you for listening to the podcast. As you know, sometimes life is just messy. But we can do this. I didn't even do a laughter yoga exercise this time. Well, then. let's pause this and think of one. Okay, since I didn't do a laughter yoga exercise in this podcast, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put a link in the show notes of my favorite Dr. Kataria laughter yoga dancing. Now it's a 14-minute video. And what I do is after I've watched it the first time, now I just fast forward to like 3:35 and I do the dancing part. For the first time though, listen to the whole video. It's really good. And that one is my absolute favorite. Happy, healthy, joyful, strong. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. Because the energies were so good today, I was actually doing it in my pasture when I was searching down my bowls. Just singing the tunes, doing the laughter yoga dance. Cows no longer look at me weird. I just take it as they're my audience. So that's what I'll do. And so that will be our laughter yoga piece of the program. So sending you all a big hug and blessings and good juju. And if you would like to book a session with me and tell me you listen to the podcast, I will give you a deal. All right. Big hugs. Bye bye. It'll anchor in our meditation.